We start with a very disheartening story of a mother who watched her boyfriend beat and kill her own little boy.
I take responsibility for not looking after my son, for not being there when he needed me the most. I should have known better. I should have been there for him.
Tabitha Van Holt broke down in court yesterday as she apologized for not helping her 3-year-old son back in 2011. That's when Stephen Gallegos beat and killed this little boy. He was sentenced to 21 years in prison. Van Holtz pled guilty to abandonment resulting in death. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison, but what with she has already served and probation, she could spend just a year and a half behind bars.
I'm glad she's going to be doing time. I'm glad she's going to be sitting in a cell. I hope she sits and thinks of what she did to my son, to my family.
That who you just saw was the boy's father, Andrew Valdez. He has filed a wrongful death suit saying the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department knew about the abuse but didn't do anything to stop it.
A landlord makes a gruesome find when a tenant moved off her property. James Turpin ran Diamante Equestrian Center in Placitas for 7 years. He started the business with the landowner, Kathy McNulty, but later took over the center. Now, this September, he paid out the remaining 3 years of his lease and then left, but McNulty says he left behind more than $100,000 in damages, and she says she was shocked when she found the remains of a headless horse in a storage room.
There are no words. I just can't believe that anybody would do this.
Now, Turpin would not sit down for an on-camera interview. He told us the horse remains were used as a teaching tool at the ranch. He also denies the damage to the land. To see Kim Holland's complete special assignment, click on KRQE.com or watch tonight on 2 Casa at 9 o'clock.
Just about 6:33, changes could be on the way to Albuquerque's police department and law enforcement all across the country because of the Michael Brown shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. The Pentagon is now looking at the supplies it gives to police departments, particularly the ones that look like military gear. And the United Nations is looking at how police do their jobs all across the country. This is after Brown's parents went to a UN summit in Switzerland.
President Obama ordered the U.S. government to review federal programs that provide military equipment to local jurisdictions, including whether and which such material should be provided to local law enforcement.
And do not forget, the Department of Justice is forcing major changes to Albuquerque's police department, saying officers here have a pattern of violating people's civil rights. And police here in Albuquerque are also getting ready for the possibility of protest after a grand jury decides whether to indict the officer who shot and killed Michael Brown in Ferguson this summer. Attorneys for his family are urging protesters here in Ferguson throughout the country to be peaceful when the decision comes down, no matter what it is. That'll likely happen sometime this month. Albuquerque has certainly seen its own set of angry protests, particularly after police shot and killed James Boyd in the foothills back in March. 6:34. We've all had that dreaded feeling, one of the worst things in the world. You start to cough, you start to sneeze, you get a little headache, a body ache, maybe a fever. Do you have a cold? Do you have the flu? What is it?
Oh, yuck. Yeah, the CDC tells us the flu season can run from as early as October through March, sometimes even through May. But what if their predictions could be more precise, like the flu season for Albuquerque will hit this week? One New Mexico man thinks he can do that.
All right, News 13's Catherine Zone is here. Catherine, how's this guy going to do it?
That's a great question, Matt. Crystal, the mathematician is at Los Alamos National Labs. He thinks he could be on his way to forecasting the flu. His tool? It's the internet.
It happens to all of us. Some less often than others.
I get a good cold every couple of years.
But sometimes there's no avoiding getting sick, and the culprit is not always clear.
Every time that I have anything, any sort of feeling, I'm searching all over the web, trying to figure out, what's going on, trying to avoid having to make a doctor's appointment.
But what if there was a way for you to somehow get a heads up that an illness like the flu was on its way?
Yeah, I guess.
One mathematician at Los Alamos National Labs thinks he may be able to do just that, not by questionnaires or doctor's logs, but with the internet.
Another source of data for who's sick with what disease.
Kyle Hickman is that mathematician. He's using money he got from the National Institute of Health to try to get better data about disease and when it pops up. While the CDC already compiles data about illnesses like the flu, it takes about 2 weeks to get the information together. Hickman aims to get those numbers faster, and he's turning to Wikipedia to do it.
The idea is people search for maybe their symptoms or what they think they have with flu. And we can access that data in real time, right when those searches are being made.
Hickman's study focused on flu, getting numbers for who checked out the influenza page on Wikipedia and other related articles. Then he compared the data with past outbreaks.
We need the historical data that represents kind of the ground truth of past outbreaks.
He hopes this will allow researchers to forecast flu. While some are skeptical,
If he wants to stake his health on his predictions, that's fine, but I don't think I would.
others think they might just heed his warnings.
Maybe we want to avoid going out in the public if you know that the flu is going around, even before it's become an epidemic. Yeah, I do.
Now, we all know the Wikipedia's reputation is not that stellar. That's because regular folks can add and take away information. But Hickman says he's not looking for data from the website, just information of what people are searching for. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thanks for the information, Catherine. So you may be asking yourself this morning, why not use other search engines like Google? Well, Hickman says Google does not give up its information for free, and it would take a lot longer to go that route.
All right, Smarties, a candy that's basically colored sugar in these little tabs. Well, now 3 middle school kids here in New Mexico are getting into a lot of trouble for it. The kids are from Marshall Middle School out in Clovis. They got suspended for 10 days each after the school says they were crushing and snorting the candy at school. But their parents say, the kids are just playing around. Well, News 13 got a hold of a letter where the district calls the candy drugs and explains that students can be suspended or even expelled because of it. Candy.
I have no words to say about that. I'm in so much shock that they would go to this extreme.
The district would not comment on this case and referred us to the school's student handbook. That handbook does not mention the candy being classified as drugs.
Parents, listen up. A popular new household item is getting into the wrong hands a lot. Children are eating laundry detergent pods thinking they are treats, and it's making them sick. A new study shows since the products came out 2 years ago, they've landed hundreds of kids in the hospital, and poison centers have gotten thousands of calls. New Mexico's Poison Center says it's had 150 cases of the pods getting into the wrong hands.
These concentrated pods, when they're bitten into, can cause severe illness. It can cause burn to the eyes. It can cause burns to the mouth, obviously, and the throat.
But to a lot of kids,
Adding to the problem, some of the packaging looks very dangerous. Similar to bags of candy, children under 6 are most at risk. Experts say make sure to put the products out of reach of children or lock them up.
They look a lot